Greetings, Eric Bakker, naturopath, all the way from New Zealand. Do you like my new shirt? $10. Isn't it a beauty? I don't buy shirts over $10. Anyway, we're not talking about great shirts today. We're talking about a man called John Bizak. And John Bizak sent me a question through the YouTube channel. Are you a subscriber, John? I think you are. I'm going to answer this question now. Spend a bit of time answering it. So, John, this will be good information for you. Hi, Eric. Great channel. I'm a 30-year-old male in, I think he's a male. I've never heard of a woman called John. I'm a 30-year-old in the US and struggled for 4 to 5 years with awful adrenal and gut problems. I think I've addressed the adrenal stuff, but I'm unable to get over the hump. I've had a comprehensive stool test, and the only markers that are off are a low Firmicutes, which is, class of bacteria, a family of bacteria, of 5.03 E10, low secretory IgA of 180, and a high calprotectin of 208. We'll talk about that in a minute. I can't seem to get any answers from anyone and would absolutely love to hear your thoughts before I order your products. I still suspect a parasite or some sort of infection. I tested positive for H.Pylori a year ago. I'll repeat that. I tested positive for H.Pylori a year ago. I'll tell you why I raised my voice in a minute. I did a natural protocol centered around mastic gum and tested negative on a follow-up breath test. I'm still achy, low energy, food intolerances, and poor mood and brain fog. Any help would be amazing. I'm considering the Candida remove and restore products. John, I'm not convinced you're free of H.Pylori. All right? Being free of H.Pylori is like, if you look at Star Wars, the guy saying, I'm free of Darth Vader, okay? That guy always comes back with every episode. Have you noticed? He's the Teflon guy. You can't get rid of him. He just pops up all over the place. So H.Pylori is a force to be reckoned with. It doesn't go away in a hurry, okay? You can punch it, it goes down, it goes up. You can punch it, it goes down and goes up. I've spent a lot of time, an awful lot of time, looking at Helicobacter pylori. I've looked at many case histories of patients. I've seen thousands of patients with H. pylori. I've talked to many doctors and gastroenterologists who've worked on H. pylori. I've looked at the triple therapy treatments. I've read all the crap that they talk about, 94% eradication rate, which is a load of garbage. The recurrence rate on this bug is extremely high, way higher than many people imagine. Negative test result does not mean negative result. It can be a false negative, okay? It can be a false negative. Be very careful with tests for H. pylori, whether they are carbon C14 or C13 urea breath tests, whether they are stool, like fecal antigen, stool antibody, or serum antigen, like blood antibody. Explain this to me, John. Please explain to me why over half of people that I see who say have been cleared from H. pylori but still have problems respond beautifully to H. pylori treatment, targeting H. pylori, right? Explain that to me. I can't understand that. And then people will say, oh, that's because your treatment was just giving them an overall good feeling, or it was placebo effect, or you were targeting other bacteria they had and not Helicobacter, and all this sort of nonsense. But the funny thing is, the H. pylori-like symptoms went away when I treated it. They felt a lot better. So, my question to you is, do you have H. pylori still? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, all right? So it's a difficult situation that you're in. But when someone's tested positive for Helicobacter pylori, and then it's like so-called cure, and they still are sick, then I really want to know, do they have Helicobacter or not? So I would treat Helicobacter pylori. So here's what I want you to try. I want you to get some colloidal silver. It depends on how severe your symptoms are. If you've got symptoms like this, burping, especially upper GI discomfort, queasiness, nausea, okay? Problems when you change the position of your body, that you get discomfort here in the stomach. Some people say they feel like they're getting a heart attack. They get pain in their arm, or they get pain on this side of the chest, because the stomach and the heart are very close together. Half the guys you go to hospital with so-called heart attacks who got indigestion, in fact. So if you've got indigestion, you can't tolerate foods, but these are the subtle things I look for. Weakness, brain fog, tiredness, cold sensations, a very low-grade feeling of nausea or queasiness, Foods disagreeing very quickly with the stomach, particular foods. It could be chili or garlic or ginger or something that goes in there and it causes a big problem very quick. It's likely to be Helicobacter. Right? So think if you've got any of those kind of symptoms. Colloidal silver. You can start, depending, if the symptoms are severe, I'd start with a low ppm, parts per million. If the symptoms are less severe in the upper, I'd start with a higher parts per million, like a 40 parts per million or greater. Now, do you notice why I spoke loud before? And that's because I think you've still got Helicobacter. I've got patients now in over 60 countries around the world. I'm not taking on new clients anymore, but I am still working with existing clients. And I've seen Helicobacter in just about every one of those 50, 60 countries of people I work with. So many people in America have this problem. I'd say over half to 3/4 of the population have got H.Pylori, and yet in most of those people, it'll be only very partially symptomatic or asymptomatic, meaning not symptom yet. But then when the right time comes along, like Candida, and it can overgrow, pow, the symptoms occur. All right? Symptoms of H. pylori occur very easily with many people. It's transmitted rapidly, even the fecal-oral route. So, if someone didn't wash their hands with that bug, and the next thing you're shaking hands with that person, you can even pick it up that way. So you need to be big on the hygiene. Let's just assume you're going to use 40 parts per million colloidal silver. Let's get you to use 30 to 40 mils, which is about a shot. Okay, get a shot glass, those whiskey shot glasses. Fill it up with colloidal silver, say 40 parts per million. Take that about an hour away from food, 3 times per day, right? Between breakfast and lunch, between lunch and dinner, and between dinner and retiring, you take the H. pylori 3 times per day. Now, the interesting thing is, I'd like to see what your feedback is after you've done that for 3 weeks, every day. Just take the colloidal silver. Don't take anything else, just that colloidal silver. Let's see what the feedback's like, all right? I'm particularly interested to see what the GI symptoms are like. So when you've done the colloidal silver for a couple of weeks, a follow-up will be Candida remove. You can also take Candida remove when you're taking colloidal silver advantageously. So as you get up to 3 times per day, you could take Candida remove with each meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that acts in the background to help clean up a lot of different yeasts and bacteria that there are as a result of the poor, upper GI dysfunction. Once the stomach goes down in function and the small bowel, it doesn't take long for the colon also to play the same song, right? So it starts going down. So yeah, this is a problem that's really endemic. It's a big problem with many people. So please give that shot, that protocol a shot with the colloidal silver and give me some feedback on it. The Candida Restore, in a case like this, I'd probably recommend you take one with breakfast and then one before bed at night. So one with food and one away with food. The Candida Rebuild, which is, which is this one here, I'd recommend you take one of those with lunch and one with your evening meal. So that's also antimicrobial, and it contains a lot of minerals and vitamins in it, which should help you tremendously too. Taking a multi like that, as you're working on improving stomach function, should correct some deficiencies that you've got. And that should help to turn things like food intolerances around, correct brain fog, and give you a boost in energy. Give it a shot and come back to me. Thanks for the question, John. I appreciate it.